All right, today I thought I would do pretty much a time lapse for the whole thing, but first I thought I might talk about what I'm doing. So we know all of these posts are parallel going this way, so we need to get them level, and I'm going to get them level this way before I hang the first rafter, because that'll just make things a lot easier. Because even though they're all parallel, this is parallel to each other, that's parallel to each other, they could be out of whack. So even though they have the capability of all getting level, that's only until I attach the first rafter, tying the two together, and then, they'll wobble after that. So I need to make sure they're level like this first, and then I can attach the first rafter. But before I attach the first rafter, then I need to make sure that they're level this way, because otherwise the rafter would change that and it'd fix, one of the two out of level. Actually, I think that's called plumb. I forget which is which. Anyway, the thing is, if you let's take this down. I'll get to the time lapse because that was really fun, but let's just get this down. So when I did my math, I got, I'm not sure if you can see this. Let's see, actually, let's do clear, make sure we're cleared. So 3 foot rise, and they are 14 feet apart. So that's a 14-foot run. And this will, without having to do any trig, this tells me that my pitch is 12 degrees. So the diagonal level cut would be 77.9 or 78. So 12 degrees on the pitch. Most roof slopes are displayed as something like that, as far as inches over rise over run, but I'm not really worried about that because that is what a framing square has. And if you look at this, I actually put this board on sloped, and then I drew, I took out my square that has a level in it, and I drew this as a level cut. And look at this. This is pretty cool. So if you put this on here, you can see that we are also showing 10, 11, 12, perfectly 12 degrees. So that confirms my math, which is always a good thing. This cut at 12 degrees is the right angle. And then I can use that rafter as a template all the way down and trust that if, for example, when I get down here to where it's bowed, if I cut them all perfectly, I just push that way a little bit, and they'll all be, it'll all be working towards getting everything plumb and level, because, if that rafter is the same length or width as this rafter and the cuts are the same, as long as I'm nailing the rafter with it flush, whether I have to push on this beam or pull, that should work on getting everything the same distance apart. And then I can go down and I will, if I have to, I'll take out this screw on the bottom, get the post level on the bottom, and then I'll be all perfect. Then today will be a lot of cutting. Maybe I'll get a solar panel mounted today, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how far we get. Hey everybody, I just wanted to explain some things. This is editing Daniel. As I'm going through the video footage, I realized that I am missing quite a bit. So you kind of see the timeline jump towards the end of the build there, where I just had a whole bunch of rafters up, and I'm not really sure where the video clips went that I recorded. But yeah, so that's pretty much the solar array done at that point. This tractor footage is just me in the middle of that footage you just saw. I just kind of got a little hot, so I decided to take a drive on the tractor. I'm working on, my neighbors had a whole bunch of rocks out there, so I'm going to take them and use the jackhammer, chip them down, and make a driveway out of them. So I've, instead of me having to collect them all, which my property has plenty, it's just a lot easier getting them in nice piles that he has stacked up. So that's what this footage is. But anyway, back to the solar array building. I wasn't really sure what happened to that footage. I did want to remark the beginning went really slow because that saw was not, I don't know, I probably actually should have been using a jigsaw, but I don't have a jigsaw to get it perfectly right. The problem with that saw is you just can't see what you're doing because there's so much dust, and the dust doesn't clear away. You can't really see the line you're drawing on. So it's kind of a really rough cut that I had to, fix a couple times. And that made it even harder to transfer over. Even when I had a good piece, it wasn't a great line to be able to mark onto the wood when I was using my template rafter. So what I started doing is I transferred the line, and then I was able to figure out the cut I needed to make based on that 78-degree angle. So I actually took I don't know if you saw that in the video, but I was taking my framing square and I was actually drawing a 78-degree angle line across the top, and then I knew that was actually the true angle that I actually needed. So that was a lot better once I did that. So that was yeah, that was pretty much the toughest part of the job. It went pretty quick, actually. It was a lot of fun doing this work, and it's pretty fun when the math all kind of works out, and you're starting to put it together. And I thought that I'd get it a lot worse out of square than it was, but it looks pretty good, and it looks pretty square and level and plumb. So I was pretty happy with this job overall. Those posts, I don't know if I'm going to need a cross brace or not. It feels pretty sturdy just based on having the rafters there, and putting the panels up will lock everything together even more. So I don't know if I'm going to need any cross braces along the bottom, but I'll just kind of look at that later. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.